Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Two Abdullahs show. And as you can see today, we have a very, very special guest with us. We do Wids, and we will be going through the Circus of Islam with the legend himself. So just a quick recap that what we were doing today, we were going through a presentation about 100 slides worth, and we were only able to get through about 33. So I'll just quickly do a recap what we've been through. We've been through floating mountains, we've been through zombie birds, F-16s in the Quran, Allah acting like Zeus throwing thunderbolts, then the divine fish and holy bread floating on a table carried by angels. Then snakes eating Pharaoh and sticks turning into snakes. We also see an appearance of Aquaman, and then we see the glowing hands of Moses. We saw that the Jews have their own Zam Zam, and then we also saw that Gabriel has 600 wings. We also see teleporting genies, black dogs being Satan, and some spy birds that can talk, some talking ants, talking cows and wolves, talking stones, talking trees that play hide and seek with genies, talking food, moist fingers, some unlimited magic water tricks, angel armies, and Allah's boat, the boat of Satan, the Titanic, the original one, Allah's throne being carried by 8 angels, your body parts talking.
Wallah.
There's Gog and Magog, Cyclops returns, CCTV surveillance with 2 angels on your shoulders. We've already covered the Burak, the horse mule hybrid, the big-eyed, perfume, sexy veiled virgins, of course, that are transparent and you can see through their flesh. And then we were, I think, at T-Rex, where we were discussing the height of Adam. With that aside, I'll pass on the stage to either Samir or Vidu.
Yo, we do it in the house. How's it going, man?
Well, firstly, man, just want to say thank you guys for both having me on, man. I really, really appreciate this. It's been a long time since I've been doing anything like this, so I'm happy to be on. And Abdullah, when you were going through that intro, I just yesterday watched Narnia for the first time, and I feel like Narnia doesn't have anything on the Quran. I thought, is this guy describing a Marvel movie, a Narnia, or a Lord of the Rings? And I must say, you know how Muslims claim that scientists stole their ideas from the Quran? I think actually Hollywood stole their ideas from the Quran and the hadith, if I'm being honest with you.
Oh, man,
all these talking snakes and cyclops and all this kind of stuff.
I will feel like how Aladdin's flying carpet was also in the Quran. It's hilarious.
Yes, absolutely.
You can see it's the
so I'm really happy to be going through this. Mashallah. Who's going to do the Arabic part? Well, I don't know what that. I never understood that part, but I thought one of you could do that.
In Pakistan, I think it's like a standard khutbah all across the country. They just read it out from a book, and then they have their Urdu khutbah preceding it, right? Something like that, yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm gonna share the slides. 1 second. All right. Yeah, so as Abdul Gondal was saying, we're at 33 of 100 slides or so. So I don't think we're gonna get to the whole thing. We're gonna allow calls as well. So you're 2 naughty slaves of Allah. We're here if you guys want to talk to us. If you're a good slave of Allah, hey. Thank you for the super chat. Wow, it's nice to see you again on the new channel. As you can see, greetings to 2 Abdullahs and Al-Viduwids. As you can see, there's monetization on this channel, so you can super chat away. Yay! Still trying to get it back on the main one though, which is why
we're in the house today.
Okay, so you want to just read? So when you're done with the slide, just let me know. Go to the next one because I'm never sure if we're done or not. So just give me like a little nod and I'll switch the slides.
All right. So let's start. So this one we were talking about. Allah says that Allah created Adam in His image with the length of 60 cubits, which if I would assume would be about 120 feet, 130 feet. And I remember in Saudi Arabia or somewhere, this guy constructed this Adam size shalwar, like a kameez, a whole thobe, erected it in like a town square or something where people could see it, taking
Wow,
the measurement from this hadith.
that's
Yeah,
crazy.
I think we'll be
Oh,
able to find it somewhere, but yeah, it's a monument. But what's funny, I noticed, is and then there was a party of angels sitting there, and then they're talking to him, and they were greeting his offspring. Peace be upon you. Salam, salam, salam. And then his length was 60, and then it started to diminish. So we've been decreasing in size since that day. So from evolution, we know that humans have increased in height, but this is saying that we've gone the opposite way. Any
Yeah,
comment?
the evolutionary increase is just a small
Mhm.
amount, right? It's from
Mhm.
probably from good health, better nutrition, and all of that, and we're slightly increasing, like slightly, not anywhere close to what this is proposing, right?
And I remember like last time we were discussing
yeah.
like
I mean, I'm just amazed that they haven't found any fossils.
yeah, no fossils actually.
No,
Oh,
sorry, I was saying that there's no fossil record or anything. You found dinosaurs and lost hidden cities and all this kind of stuff, but no giant rib bones or anything like that. Or so.
I think we have had claims as some Muslim geologists, archaeologists extracting these in the Middle East, these big humanoid skulls and skeletons, but they're all hoaxes. But you'll find
Of
the
course,
internet
of course.
littered with those.
Wow, that's
exciting.
incredible.
Yeah. But what's funny is when, from a biological perspective, like you can't get that big because your metabolism grows so much and you just combust spontaneously.
Yeah, we did talk about that last time.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the next one. Oh, my favorite one.
This one, let me.
Shooting stars are missiles chasing genies.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar.
I don't know.
I'll let We Do Wiz read this out in his khutbah voice.
Okay. let me proper etiquette. Hang on. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Brothers and sisters, we are here gathered on this blessed Friday with Abdullah ibn Samir and Abdullah ibn Gondal. MashaAllah, may Allah be pleased with them and preserve them with good health, with all the da'wah they provide for the community. And I would like to recite this holy hadith. Is this from this is Bukhari or is it Muslim? One of them. One of them. And it said, Shakir, and certainly we have adorned his lower heaven with lamps, and we have made these missiles for the shaitans, and we have prepared for them the chastisement of burning. As you can see, brothers and sisters, that the Muslims were far ahead in weapons of mass destruction before the Americans were. And it is us that came up with the modern technology, the sonar technology, the homing missile technology to attack the shayateen before the Americans and the Israelis. How far we have dropped, how far we have fallen since our glory days, brothers and sisters. May this be a reminder to those who do not pray I don't know and do not fast. But there you go.
If we were pious, in the Cold War, Allah would have just had angels, throw down missiles onto the USSR or the USA.
But literally, what's the difference between this and like Zeus? Because that's what Zeus does, right? He strikes thunderbolts. Right? Like, there's no difference. There's literally no difference. Like I've been reading a lot of Greek mythology, and this is very similar kind of stuff. I'm not saying they've copied it directly from there. Allahu Akbar! Look at this, amazing. This is shirk. This is kufr. Unbelievable. What's the difference between like if you just replace Allah or with Zeus? Zeus has done this. It would fit right into Greek mythology. It would be no different.
Exactly. Yeah. Like a lot of the times, I feel people would laugh, even Muslims would laugh at these stories. It's only when you decorate these stories within the context of the 7th century, a few thousand years ago, they suddenly just become believable. I don't know why.
It's true. It's true. It is. I think it is a weird thing. I mean, you're doing, you know more about this than I would. But if like you just said, if I said, I saw someone strike Satan with a missile, you'd be like, you're crazy. But if I said, no, this happened 3,000 years ago. Oh, okay, now it becomes much more serious. I think there is a sort of mysterious mystique about the ancient old. If you say, I met a girl in high school, 14 years old, she got pregnant and she didn't even sleep with anyone, you'd be like, okay, she's lying. But that happened 2,000 years ago, and then all of a sudden that it's a very different thing. So I think there is something. I don't know what it is psychologically speaking. We do revere the old, the ancient, the mysterious. I'm not sure, but there you go.
So one of our mutual friends actually made this good point, which is a lot of the stories in the Bible, and of course the Quran as well, they make more sense in the context of the original story. So, for example, the God that flooded the earth, the God of thunder, makes a lot more sense than Allah, who is just this generic God, like flooding the earth. Because thunder, like, when you copy the story, and the same idea with Jesus, being the Son of God, the Messiah, and all of these things, it makes more sense in the context of Christianity. Not saying Christianity makes sense. I'm just saying that it's more consistent. The theology is consistent, whereas you copy paste this idea of Jesus being the Son of God, is the only one that has no father, and now suddenly he has no father in Islam. It's just weird. It's like, why?
I've always found Jesus to be a misfit in Islam. He doesn't fit the profile of a prophet. He doesn't fit even the whole thing about no father. Even if we take that out, the whole thing that he's going to come back at the end of days, and not the Prophet Muhammad, but he's going to come back and with the Mahdi and all, like he makes it's a straight copy and paste, Control C, Control V into Islam without any adaptation. The only adaptation is obviously he's not the son of the, but he's just a prophet. But he literally does not make any sense. And you're absolutely right. If you want to understand Jesus, go to Christianity. If you want to understand Moses, go to Judaism. Right? Don't go to Islam for those two. They don't fit. You're absolutely right. It's like putting Harry Potter, putting Frodo into Harry Potter. Now, technically, he could exist because he's a mythical creature. Like a hobbit. He could be an elf, but he's not in that. He's not in the right setting. If that makes sense. So that's what they've done, and they've claimed no. Actually, Frodo is in the same universe as Harry Potter. They're not.
Well, what's funny is like how Jesus, the whole story is twisted, and the whole twist given from Islam that, well, Jesus was on the cross, but he wasn't really. It was Judas who was, like, Allah did like cosmetic surgery on him, and he became like Jesus. Amazing. And then he died, and Jesus was lifted up. It's just goes against all the historical things, like as Christian and so many people saw him die. It's just Allah is the best of deceivers, just remember that.
Like the comment, if Jesus is so important Muslim prophet, how come he created the main rival religion to Islam? You fired for that. Well, Jesus didn't create Christianity, as we all know. It was actually the disciples, mainly Paul, right? Pauline Christianity is what we have. And the ideas about Jesus developed after he died. It wasn't Jesus himself that was creating a competing religion. Jesus was a failed Messiah. I mean, he was supposed to be the king of the Jews, and he failed, right? Mm-hmm. So somehow they had to come up with a new religion. I really like what Bud Ehrman says on that. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's go to this next slide.
Okay, so to fast forward. If you guys all of this, just go back to the first episode.
I mean, it's all good. Everybody gets to see all of them just roll by so fast, all these weird things. But one thing about the star thing, I just wanted to go back, was if you read the tafsir, it says that the stars so it says that the genies, these devils, are going to the heavens and like trying to like eavesdrop, like spy on angels who listen to what they're talking amongst themselves and what they heard from Allah. And then these angels suddenly realize, oh no, we're being spied on. And then they suddenly just grab this part of, or this flame from this star and pelt it at the Satan to scare it away. And this is the whole story. And it just brings me to question, like, what kind of weird, poor security Allah has that like human genies can just if we can't trust Allah to guard his own thing like this, how can we expect him to pass on the revelation? Added that he let all his previous books get corrupted.
That's a very good point.
want to say something about that too. We had a whole episode on jinns, and I just want to say that just to add to what you said about the weak security. So let's go back to 7th century, and here you have a lot of superstitions, and you have these fortune tellers, and you go to the fortune teller, and even today people go to fortune tellers, so the appeal of fortune tellers. And sometimes, especially imagine 7th century, they're right what they say, right? So they say something, they use the clever psychological tricks, and they're like, yeah, this is gonna happen, or use some great thing, and people are like, wow, this is true, right? And then they ask the fortune teller. Now, I don't know what they say today, but back then they would have said, yeah, I talked to the jinns, right? And the jinns get the information from Allah. So now they went to Muhammad, and they're like, now Muhammad is competition. He's competition to the fortune tellers, because he's also saying these things are going to happen in the future, and I can see the future, and blah blah blah, right? And this is going to happen, and we're going to. So now when they went to him, they asked him, because he said, "Oh, fortune tellers are haram." He cut off the competition. He's like, whoever goes to a fortune teller, the prayers will not be accepted, or whatever, right? For 40 days. So now he's the exclusive fortune teller of Islam, and now, so what they asked him, they're like, well, how are they getting these truths, right? And he came up with a story. He's like, yeah, well, they go up, and the jinns, they're going up to Allah, and they're sneaking in, they're listening to Allah writing his decree, and they're like coming down, and they're whispering to the fortune tellers, and they're adding a little bit of lies and this and that, but now they're cut off. Allah has closed the door. This back door is sealed.
Wow.
Allah, did you call it the firewall? The firewall of Allah.
Firewall. That's actually a very interesting point you made there, because I remember ages ago, I was some relatives came over, and they were discussing this, and obviously they're Pakistani, so it's Jinn Central. Pakistan is Jinn Central, bro. Let's just get real.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But they were saying that this is the funny thing. They were saying that these fortune tellers, they can tell the future or whatever it is using jinns. They weren't saying that they can't do it. They're saying that the fortune tellers could do it, but it's wrong to. So they weren't denying. This is what I found. They weren't saying no, Allah knows. Like they weren't saying these guys are liars. These guys are frauds. They're not saying that they actually do have that power. But as a Muslim, you shouldn't go to them. You should go to Allah. So it's like you're giving them the credibility that yes, that they can do it, but it's wrong, which I found even worse, to be honest with you. It makes it makes no sense.
Yeah, exactly. Shirk, right? Like, why is it shirk if it's made up?
It's like, yeah. It's like they had Allah had different lines leaking information. Like Allah had a WikiLeaks going on, and then Muhammad came. He was like, I'm gonna arrest all the genies, and now it's only my leak that's gonna work.
Oh my God! So the jinns were basically like Julian Assange.
Maybe Julian Assange gets his news from the genies. Go hide, and
I don't know. We've just cracked it on this show. He's a fortune teller in the embassy speaking to these jinns.
All we needed Hasanat to do some of his exorcism ruqya.
Superb. There you go.
Oh boy. All right, let's move on to the next. Yeah, let's take a call actually and move on.
Okay, I wasn't sure. All right, we need to figure out a proper routine for this. Hello, Asif.
Okay.
Are you here?
Hello. Can you hear me? Yes. Hello.
Yes. Hi.
Hello. Can you hear me? Hi. Hello, Vidu. Hello.
Hi. How's it going, man?
I spoken to you before, Vidu, if you remember.
Yes, on my
program,
channel.
You've not done one. Yeah, on your channel, you've not spoken for a while. Yeah. I just wanted to raise with yourselves, that there is a lot of problem with actually Quran translations. There isn't a suitable Quran translation that you'll find that is honest. And this is what I'm trying to raise, you can forget the Arabic, what that says, but you cannot find a decent Quran translation that is honest. All of them are fake. They'll have, at very, very important times, they'll totally mistranslate the verse to mean something else. For example, I'll give you an example of a verse in Surah 7, verse 26. I don't know if you can bring that up on your screens. It's about Adam being, put on earth with Eve, and they're given clothes to wear and this and that. And Allah also gives them feathers. Now, none of the translators, will translate the word of Arabic as feathers. Now, why is that? What are they hiding? And there's other places I can mention in the Quran that they totally do not translate the word, or they mistranslate it. So this is a big problem, that Muslims cannot be honest enough to translate an honest translation. I wonder if you can find it there. Can you see it on the screen?
Which one?
The Arabic word there is rishan, or rish in the singular, and you will not see it, translated. Rish in the Arabic means feather, and you will not see it in the English translation. So when you debating with people, when you debating with people like Muhammad Hijab and these Dawah idiots, as I call them, they run rings around people. Yeah, they run rings around people by these translations, and these translations are so fake that you cannot debate a Muslim using these translations, because how are you going to? These translations are fake.
I don't understand why it matters.
Do you
if
see
it
what
says
I mean?
feathers, is that like an important theological point that we need?
You can pull up a bunch of different translations from different authors just to get a better idea of what the general sense as well. So you can get a kind of like an idea if there is a different meaning.
Is deliberately, the word is deliberately omitted to hide. That's what I'm saying.
I don't know.
It's deliberately omitted because it looks stupid in the sentence. You see a lot of
one of them does mention in the one of them does mention in the parentheses feathers. Okay. I get your point. Yeah, I mean
some level,
and this also happens with some of the translation in a verse about the hurs as well, and certain body parts being of certain proportion. And so some people will take a more, let's say, family-oriented translation over the more R-rated explicit version. So yeah, there are instances like that, but I don't think it deviates too much from the general meaning here. But like I said,
you're creating a bigger problem that the Quran is not understandable in English. But I think it's a bigger problem to say that, because I converted based on reading the Quran to Sunni Islam, and many people convert based on reading the Quran so in English. So I think using the English translation, even if it kind of waffles over or smooths over some of the problematic issues, I don't think it's a major problem. There's still enough nonsense, like even just reading the English translation, enough nonsense there for anyone.
No, but Abdullah, what I'm talking about is honesty. You've got these Muslims claiming they're the most honest people on the planet. And why can't they be honest in the translation? That's what I'm trying to get at. It's not that they waffle over it or smooth over it.
Well, no. Many of them are honest in their translation, and many of them, like a couple of them, actually put it in the parentheses that is there. It's just that a lot of the times the context of the general meaning of the verse, sometimes doesn't really suit one translation having that specific, because also Varisha could mean something else, like they've translated it as, right, as an adornment and not specifically just feathers. And also we have to keep in mind that these people, a lot of them sometimes are not even Muslim that translate the Quran. And these are people who have studied the Arabic language to a great extent. So completely coming with the claim that these people are, dishonest apologists trying to hide the real meaning of the Quran is a very big generalization. And they're also academics, as you know. So it's not polite to say those things, in my opinion.
Was Pickfall Muslim by any chance? I don't know if he was.
Yeah, he was Muslim. Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is, you see, that if you're debating with a Muslim apologist, and you did the translation, I'm a Pakistani, I'm sure two of you are Pakistanis, they would mock our Arabic. They'd say, oh, hold on a minute, you haven't translated this properly. This word means this. So what I'm trying to get at is, when you're debating with these people, and you point that out, you say, well, why is that word completely omitted? It's not even in the parentheses. It's nowhere to be found. They've just completely gone over it. And why is that? Because it would look stupid. That's the only reason you can come down to. And Rish does not mean anything other than I've looked at it in the Arabic dictionaries, in the lexicons, and Rish is a word that just means feather. It doesn't mean adornment. There's other words in Arabic that mean adornment. In fact, there's a chapter in the Quran that is called Surah Zumra, I think, which means adornment. So there's words specifically that mean adornment.
So it's a fair point.
Zumar.
I don't know if it really matters about the
Surah
feathers.
Zumar.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's going to leave Islam because Adam wore feathers. But I do get the point in general, and I hear you. So thank you for your call.
Wait.
Thank you.
Wait, is this a point or a direction saying that maybe Adam was native to the North American people?
I was just gonna say that.
Or were there birds on that tree that they ate the fruit from? So you quickly grabbed the bird and put the
Yeah, absolutely.
We
But
just
this
gotta.
is what I mean.
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
you gotta be aware.
Caller that actually called in. Unfortunately I forgot his name, and he showed us some examples of actual mistranslations, which were like really hilarious. And Hatim Al-Darat is saying, I agree, a lot of them lie about the translation. For example, in 71:16, where they declared the moon's light is reflected. Yeah, that's a clear and patent dishonesty there, where it's basically appealing to the scientific sort of misunderstanding there, and it changes it. But yeah, thanks for your call, Asif.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Very much. Take care.
Yeah.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.
Okay, bye.
See, we learn something new every day. Now we know that Adam was wearing feathers. Who knew that?
I can actually empathize with him more because he had a kinky side. You know, it's
He's a furry.
furry. Yeah, he's a furry. Yeah. He actually makes it more likable in that sense. Oh, it's interesting, Adam. Cool. Cosplay.
Oh, there you go. From trees and birds to now we have monkeys. Oh, this famous hadith in Bukhari. The monkeys were stoning the other monkeys for having sex outside of marriage.
You know what? That is one Islamically compliant monkey. Let me tell you that now. Okay? Say what you want, but that monkey is a mu'min. He is more a mu'min than most of these Muslims nowadays. On social media, okay, wearing lipstick, okay, women speaking with their
Habibi.
voices.
This was before Islam was there. That means that the monkey was pious. He was holding onto the rope of Allah from hundreds of years ago. Or maybe they had a monkey prophet. I don't know.
He was the Rasul of the monkeys. It was revealed to him. It was revealed.
Maybe the Jews that got turned into the monkeys, maybe it's one of those.
He was a reformer. He was like, brothers, we have to go back to what we were doing.
To get turned back into humans.
Yes, he was exactly. He was trying to go back the other way.
Yeah, there's a verse in Quran that says that we transform the Jews and
Apes into pigs. Yeah.
Or the be despised apes, and others as pigs as well in Mantua.
But the scholars say those ones they couldn't reproduce, so we can't say that the descendants today are descendants of. And just
they passed on the law of Moses in the monkey language.
Oh. My God,
just to be fair, this hadith is criticized by, I believe, Albani and others for this patent ridiculousness. I mean, how can monkeys stone monkeys and this and that? And I think it doesn't go back to the actual prophet. It's a athar, not a hadith per se, meaning statement of the companions, but it's using the same, according to the same methodology that Bukhari uses. He considered this sahih. So this is narration that doesn't go back to the prophet, goes to a companion who actually said this, and it was preserved and passed on to us according to the same methodologies that the rest of Bukhari.
Just to get this straight, Bukhari compiled 500,000 or 700, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands hadiths, and he picked only 7,000 or 5,000 out of them.
And this one made
the cut.
He's like, I like this one, Planet of the Apes, stamp of approval. Planet of the Apes, it's in the book. Done.
That's a good point, actually. Like, out of only supposedly 300,000, which I don't even know if that number makes sense, but out of 300,000 hadith, they only use 6,000 or so.
God knows what was in the other stuff. God, if this makes the cut, what was in the other stuff? That's what I
was watching Sharif Gaber's video just a few days ago to refresh my memory on the numbers. If you do the numbers, 99% of all the hadith in circulation were fake. 1 in 100 Muslims knew something that was worthy or trustworthy at that time. Just
crazy.
imagine.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
See, this is what I mean. This is what, I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but Abdullah mentioned Pauline Christianity and Bar Ehrman. I mean, Paul was had the gospel that came the last, the furthest away from Jesus' death, right? And yet, Christianity, was his gospel? Was
Luke and John.
But
Paul
Paul wasn't even in the same.
Paul was one of the church fathers that had a vision of Jesus.
Yeah,
and he converted from Christianity. He was an enemy of Christianity before. He changed his name from Saul to Paul. He saw a dream of Jesus. And based on that, he decided to become. He basically created Christianity along with the others, where he transformed the idea of the law having to be fulfilled into Jesus was the fulfillment of the law. So you no longer have to eat kosher and all of that. Like, the animal sacrifice, he was the animal sacrifice. And if I in the chat, just let me know.
The Lamb of God.
Yeah,
I wonder if that's the same lamb Allah will kill on the day of judgment to kill death, If it's the same lamb of Allah on the day of judgment, that's death.
I feel sorry for this one. He was same lamb in Abraham, same lamb in. This was one lamb. Is there like a family of lambs that keep getting slaughtered?
I don't know why God wants all of this animal sacrifice. It's just kind of weird, right? And
all his prophets are shepherds or something, right?
yeah. I don't know about that, but that's what the hadith says. Yeah,
they all like sheep. Okay,
but Adam like feathers.
It is weird though, right? And why? When you try to that was one of the things I was asking Christians. I was like, well, how does the Christianity seem so different than the rest of the Old Testament, right? So why this big departure? And they say, well, if you look and see, well, this animal sacrifice, there's this theme of animal sacrifice. So I don't know why Jehovah or Yahweh, why is he so why does he want people to sacrifice animals to him? It's just weird, right? Isn't it weird?
Yeah. What does it accomplish? It's such a pagan practice, blood sacrifice and whatnot.
It does seem like a pagan practice. And why are we sacrificing animals to God? I mean, people used to sacrifice humans to God, and then they moved to animals, which is, I mean, I know vegans wouldn't agree, but it's better. Yeah. I mean, as a human, I'm saying it's better. It's better. But I mean, yeah, even the whole sacrifice, even today, I mean, people talk about the fact that there's a lot of slaughtering happening on the day of Hajj, Eid al-Adha, right? And it does seem completely unnecessary, and it creates a strain on the society when you have that many animals being killed all at once. And some of the towns, they have blood in the streets, and you get the smell of dead animals. And it's just yes, we eat meat, but to do it in this ritualistic way of this giant bloodbath, it's disturbing, right? To say the least. And yeah, and technically speaking, I do think veganism is the best still. So I would say even just not eating meat, but to get rid of the whole meat eating thing is a challenge, right, for Muslims, because it's part of the religion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't have to eat meat, but I mean, it is a ritual sacrifice that you're doing to an animal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
We'll take a couple more slides before we take any questions, because otherwise we'll never get through this.
Oh, the infamous black magic and witchcraft, the two kulls. I've recited these two so many times. I think these are one of the amongst the most often recited chapters of the Quran in prayer, especially people when they pray by themselves. So short. What we see here is that blowing on knots is true, jinns possessing or at least influencing people in magical ways is true, witchcraft is true for the Quran. So what do you think about these stories that Muhammad got magic spells cast onto him?
You know, when I was a kid, and because I went to Muslim school, right, and I heard these stories, and I didn't know really what to make of them, because he's the prophet. He's should be protected by God and free from all that. Right, at least from a dark arts, perspective, then it's him. But the fact that someone got their hair and put it in a well, I don't know. I was like, what is going on here?
Just imagine this guy's waiting for Muhammad to drop one of his hair just so he can tie it.
It's so stupid. I don't understand what is going on. It's just crazy.
Well,
I mean, obviously,
at the time I ignored it, but when you look at it, you're absolutely right. This is pure witchcraft and wizardry and black magic, and this is something out of Professor Snape and the Harry Potter. And all that.
And this is the anti-spell to remove the spell of the black spell, defense against the dark arts.
Exactly. I'm just waiting for the part he gets his exactly. This is completely utter nonsense.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I do think a lot of modern Muslims, I don't know if that's the right word for them. Yeah, modern Muslims are, when they face something like black magic and all of this stuff, they're put into a situation where they don't know what to do. Like you said, we had a caller last time where you asked him, well, do you believe the rock spoke this and that? And he was like, and he was hesitating. And then like, okay, let me show you the hadith. And then he saw the hadith. He's like, yeah, I believe it now. The only reason he believed it was because of the hadith. And the same thing here with magic. There's a guy I was talking to on Facebook. You guys both know him. I'm not gonna mention his name, but he's like, yeah, magic is nonsense. There's no such thing as magic. And then I showed him this verse from the Quran. I'm surprised he didn't know about this. And he's like, oh, actually, I believe in magic. And it was like, what? Like, you just flipped over, like, in 1 second, you went from I don't to I do, because, well, the reality is he wouldn't have, except for the fact that his holy book tells him that he has to. And so, and there's the other guy, you guys probably remember Sal Khan, this other guy. He was like that too, but he was like, he'd throw out anything in the hadith that doesn't make sense. But if it's in the Quran, it's like he's stuck with it, and now he has to defend it, and he has to come up with a justification for it.
It's similar to what I was saying before about the whole fortune teller thing. They don't say it's not true; they say it is true, but you shouldn't go to it. There was that Australian preacher, Sheikh Fez, that crazy lunatic.
He
was on Harry Potter because he was like, people are letting their children watch Harry Potter.
I haven't seen them in a while.
They call human beings muggles, or like as if N-word or whatever. Like, do you want your children to watch that? To watch Harry Potter? I was like, bruv, it's a children's book, but they take it as if it's like, no, this is a manual on how to do magic. Yusuf was there was that guy, weird lecture on this Satan. I think it was a Satan or some sort of guy in America, and he was like, oh, Thomas something. I think Abdullah, you might have seen it. I'm not sure. And I was like, bro, this guy, like, he's Satanist, and as this was when I was a Muslim, I'm like, his religion is not real. It doesn't exist. He's making it up. But my other Muslims were like, no. Like, why are you giving it credit? Why are you giving it credence? It's not real. The fact that you're behaving in it, like, oh my god, if you read Harry Potter, there's a chance of some. But this is made up, and when you behave like that, you're giving them more credit than they deserve. And that's why I find this baffling when they take these things seriously. Like, oh, if you read Harry Potter, there's jinns and magic. And my wife's family didn't let their children read Harry Potter because it was witchcraft and wizardry and all this kind of stuff. So this is a very, like, people, some modern Muslims will laugh and be like, oh, this. But I'm like, well, actually, a lot of Muslims believe in this kind of stuff, and they take it very, very seriously.
You find the same trend with fundamentalist Christians, where they'll be like, I've heard examples from, I think my wife was telling me, in her family, they weren't allowed to play cards, or her grandparents, they didn't let them play with playing cards because they were like a tool of the devil. So this sort of theme of like fearing, certain things like magic and cards and stuff like that, it seems to be a fundamentalist sort of issue, I guess.
Strange. Yeah.
And also another layer is like the Illuminati layer, where the Illuminati ceremonies, the signs, the Arrivals documentary, the checkered floor.
I remember that Arrivals documentary. That went viral, didn't it? But then I heard one Sunni sheikh. He was like, "Why are you watching this?" And I thought he was like, "Was it? I can't remember who it was." Yeah, but it was this like, this went viral, and then the Sunni sheikh was like, because obviously I thought it was nonsense, right? But anyway, the Sunni sheikh was like, "Oh, this is rubbish. Why are you watching it?" And I thought, oh, he's finally gonna say like, be rational and be this and be that, whatever. He goes, "Do you know this is Shia propaganda?" I was like, oh, that's the reason. So that was the reason why he didn't like it, because it was not because it was nonsense. I was like, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa alayhi. Because it's Shia.
He must not be
the job. Voldemort.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Before we go to the next slide, no, you are wrong. Samir Noor is saying. He said he believed everything Quran, hadith. Yeah, exactly. My point is that when you ask someone, do you believe in, and you just come up with the most ridiculous thing, they will usually be skeptical because we don't see such things happening. And then when you tell them, well, it's in this book, and they'll say, well, which book is it? Is it the Bible or is it the Quran? Oh, it's Quran. Is good. It's a good. I believe it now. I believe it. Okay. I thought you were gonna say the other book, and in that case, it's nonsense. And we don't buy that, right?
Well, this one time I remember this one guy made the analogy that, hey man, if you believe that shooting stars or missiles or flames chasing genies, then I believe that stars exploding in space are genies farting.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense.
They just broke the wudu.
And he said that we do know that the shaitan farts when he hears the azan, right? So it's a trait of the jinns.
What is this obsession with farting in Islam? Can someone tell me, like, what is this weird? Shaitan is farting, and when you fart, you have to do wuzu again, even though wuzu won't get rid of the smell, right? I mean, I don't understand this whole obsession with farting. You know?
Yeah, the ritual purity thing. It might be a sign of OCD. This washing 5 times.
I think it is.
Walking with your right leg, walking with your left leg out of the washroom. It could be mindfulness, but it could also be OCD. Like, you know, maybe there's something to do with the way Muhammad saw the world. I'm gonna.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. How are you?
Hey, I wanted to ask you guys, when you guys were Muslim, who were you taught Ibrahim sacrificed?
So there's a conflict. Like the Christians say it was Isaac, and I think Muslims say it was Ishmael.
So this is actually a mistake. If you look in the hadith, there's actually a huge disagreement between the Sahabas that more of them thought it was Ishaq than thought it was Ishmael, even though more Muslims today believe it's Ishmael. And like in the Quran, it doesn't say clearly. It just says a boy was sacrificed, right? And it's just hilarious to me. Like, he puts those monkey stoning hadiths and all those, but like he couldn't just say like which son was sacrificed. You know, like it's one of those random things that I don't know. Did you guys were you guys taught Ishmael was sacrificed?
Yeah,
that's what I was taught as well.
Yeah, that's what I was taught.
Yeah, but yeah, more
because it adds legitimacy to the Arabic lineage, right?
Yeah, that's what they say. They say Muhammad was descendant, but there's no hadith that even says that as well, that he was descended from Ishmael or anything like that. That all came later on. So it's just funny that this is added by Muslims, and they are so concerned with authenticity of hadiths and things like that, but they believe things that aren't backed up at all. You know, like completely not backed up.
I know that Yasir Qadhi actually was talking about this, and there was a little bit of a response to this whole thing, because apparently hold on, I'm just going to share my screen here. So I forget, was it David Wood or someone brought this up, that he went against the consensus apparently, and he said, I wish it was here in the comments, but he does talk about whether it was one or the other, and I believe he said the opposite of what people expected him to say. Oh, my screen is not shared. I thought it was shared. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's even hadiths where Ibn Abbas reported that the child was Ishaq and not Ishmael. So there's very little evidence to support Ishmael and a lot more to support Ishaq. But you know, Muslims just go with the consensus that they're taught.
Or maybe Allah also he could switch the sheep out, so he also switched the child quickly too. It's the Ahruf Karat variant, quantum superposition of sacrificial babies.
When Abraham was having the dream, he goes, "Sacrifice your son." He's like, "Which one?" He's like, he put both of them. He put one down. He's like, no, switch them. Okay.
He tried till the sheep appeared.
Maybe he had both lying down and had two knives.
It's like Tomb Raider dual yielding swords.
Exactly. Who knows? Yeah. Sacrifice your son.
for the
That's
question. I'm a
actually
big fan of Zakir
interesting.
Naik. Hopefully, he makes an appearance today.
Hopefully he will. Hopefully, maybe one of the hadiths whether I could read.
Oh, definitely. All right, thank you guys.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
One
bros.
caller will ask, brother, ask a very good question. Okay.
Oh my god! Oh my god! My god!
Okay. All right. What do we have next? More Abraham tales. Cold fire. Well, I remember this one. We were talking about this earlier in terms of free speech and what people also say we mock Islam. Is Allah asked, well, Abraham like took broke all the idols of Nimrud and then gave the stick to or the axe to the biggest idol and then said, oh, ask him, he broke it. So the people were obviously like, you got to be kidding me. We know you did it. So it says that they threw Abraham in the fire. It burnt the ropes and the bond, the things that had tied to him, but the fire didn't burn him. So the fire suddenly, became cold, as if it was salamun ala Ibrahim. It was peace upon Ibrahim. So it's just like, man, like you can throw people in fire, and then people could say, maybe it's like phosphorus fire, it has light but no heat. Then like, okay, well, how is it burning the wood or the rope, sorry, but they're not burning the skin,
This is actually my when I was younger, someone said my father, because obviously he didn't believe in this kind of stuff, this miracles and whatever. So he's like, this was metaphorical. This was, the fire was actually their arguments and their, all this kind of, it's true. And I think he was reading, I don't know, Muhammad Asad's tafsir or someone's, or maybe Abdullah Gondu, Ghulam Pervez, in Pakistan they have that guy.
I've heard of him.
Yeah, he would give these kinds of interpretations, that it was metaphorical and fire actually meant, they were giving such a hard time and this is what by cooling of the fire that they became silent and they just didn't do whatever it was.
Oh my god, okay.
So this is the thing. So if people want to
wait,
story of
it's hard to know when to interrupt. This little finger said this sounds exactly like the story of Prahlad in Hinduism. Interesting.
That's very interesting, yeah. I mean, it's not, it wouldn't be weird for people to say that, people knew burning people was a way to punish and torture them and God's going to burn you. So, hey, this people inventing a story that this one guy was thrown in the fire and he didn't burn, so he has to be a prophet. It kind of makes sense in that mindset back then.
Also, by the way, Abraham comes from Brahma, right? That's because because the same story of Abraham. No, it's true. The same story of Ibrahim, where he had his first wife Sarah and his second wife Hajra. The same thing is in Hinduism, where the Brahma, there was these two rivers. The first river wouldn't give any water anymore, or will stop flowing, so he went to the second river. The same concept.
Is that Zam Zam coming out too from the water?
I don't want to make sexual Indian squirting with Zam Zam like that. I don't want to go there. Zam Zam, okay. Who knows what's underneath Zam Zam? Okay, anyway. But what I was trying to say is, like, I told the story to my Hindu friend, and he was like, "That sounds very familiar to what we have about Brahma." And there were these two rivers. The first river wasn't giving any water, so he went to the second one, and the second one was giving water, i.e., one was barren, one was more whatever fertile. And surprise, surprise, it's Islam. So if this Prahlad story, whatever it is, I wouldn't be surprised if Abraham or Brahma was copied or just adapted in any way. Obviously, I don't know. I'm just.
I mean, yeah, definitely. If you look at just the general thing about stories being evolving and being passed on. I mean, we humans do that all the time. Epic of Gilgamesh. The funny thing is when they use this as a proof for Islam, we have, for example, I remember as a Muslim going to this one. I think I was having doubts. I don't remember if I was having doubts at this time, but it was an Al-Maghrib seminar. I think he was saying, like, isn't it amazing that every single culture has this great flood myth? Like, he was making it as if this was an evidence for the truth of Islam, but as actually the reality is, well, stories get passed around. That doesn't make them true. Like, what would be more impressive was if there was evidence for a great flood on the earth, which there isn't. There's just no evidence for that, right? There's no evidence. That's why we have, people talking about a local flood now.
Yeah. And it keeps changing. Like first, the Bible is pretty clear. It's a global flood. Muslims initially were like, "Yeah, it was a global flood," but then like, no, it's a local flood. It didn't go all over the globe. And I mean, you're trying to tell me that the tallest mountain was submerged in the Middle East, which sea level comparative-wise, the elevation isn't that high. How much was flooded? At least tell us that.
In the world, right?
Yeah, it's weird.
Someone has a video on that. I think his name is Irish Infidel or something. And he has a video that he actually looks at the math and he says that the amount of water in the world is not enough to have the whole world covered up to that. I mean, if it wasn't the whole world, let's say it was just that locality, how would you have just that locality? It would be like a little bubble of water that's just like.
I mean, if Allah can separate use a stick to separate water into mountain columns to clear a path, don't you worry. Allah can make these water pillars, okay?
Yeah.
It's like a movie, right? Like there's a pillar of water comes down.
Or angels will construct a dam around the town and just flood it.
Yeah.
Gog and Magog dam.
Gog and Magog.
Let's move on to the next slide.
We talked.
There you have. Okay, so this I will let Sheikh Widu Wids read it in his commanding voice, warning of the day of judgment.
So this is the bottom one. You're saying, should I inform you? Okay. Allah. Okay. Can we get some echo on my? I want to get someone Okay, cool. Say, shall I inform you of him who is worse than this in retribution from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Worse is he whom Allah has cursed and brought his wrath upon, and of whom he made apes and swine. And he who served the shaitan. These are worse in place and more erring from the straight path. Sadaqallahul Azim. And this is why, brothers and sisters, chimpanzees and pigs are haram. Oh my God, okay.
It's hard to see, Ellie.
But by the way, I find it really hard to follow a sentence when it keeps talking he and she, and it's like someone's pronouns. I don't understand what. Can you just say who you're talking about, please?
It's Allah's divine language. This is the miracle. You don't have the comprehension skills to understand the complexity of Allah's syntax.
It's not 72 virgins, 72 genders. Anyway, so. It's true. Is this what Allah is gender neutral? That's the thing. That's the beauty. So what is he saying? Worse is he whom Allah has cursed and brought up wrath upon, and of whom he made ape and swine, and he who served the shaitan. These are worse in place and more erring from the straight path. So who is he who is referring to?
Isn't it? It is actually.
Yeah. I think the story goes, the story is ridiculous on its own, where all the issue surrounding this is the Jews went fishing on the Sabbath. So Allah was so pissed because they fished, they caught some fish or shrimp. Allah was like, be you apes despised and hated, and turn them into apes and swine. Like,
apparently it wasn't fishing season. That's why he was angry.
He's like, no, but the endangered species,
conservation. You let them. I was like, yeah, that's right.
Now apparently in Islam there's no more Sabbath, right? Yom Sabbath.
Yeah.
And here's another example. This is another example, guys. Just came up with an example of how it doesn't fit in Islam. According to the other belief system, God rested, so there's a Sabbath. Why would he get angry about them not eating and not working on the Sabbath when he never rested on the seventh day according to Allah?
Okay, yeah.
Why is he making that day holy? Friday,
the Quran
holy day in Islam.
Acknowledges the Sabbath, gives it legitimacy in its story and backdrop. Yeah.
And without the context of God resting, what's the point of the Sabbath? I mean, I know people don't like Karen Armstrong, but she makes it sound so beautiful when she says that the Jews, what they're doing is they're trying to mirror God's world in our world. God rested, so we rest on the seventh day. We're trying to be like God. I mean, that makes sense. I mean, I'm not saying it makes sense. I don't believe in God.
But at least within there.
I believe in God now. But it's consistent. Yet again, man, bro, we gotta make a video on how like imported ideas in Islam, how they don't make any sense.
So sorry, Abdullah, so just so I understand that, you're saying that the Sabbath makes sense in the Jewish religion because God rested, so they have to imitate that. But with Islam, you're saying what is the Islamic position on the Sabbath?
God never, Allah never sleeps, right? La yakhud sinatun wa la nom. La takhudhu sinatun wa la nom. He doesn't sleep, nor does he slumber, whatever, right?
So this verse would make no sense because you're giving credence to the Sabbath when you say that there is Allah.
And then the priorities of Allah. The priorities of Allah too. Like he doesn't abolish slavery. He doesn't tell you about marital rape and all the other evils that go on back then. He's like, I'm gonna turn you into apes and pigs if you eat the fish on a specific day. Think about it. The priorities are so misplaced.
That's incredible. I never thought about that because you're right. You're giving credence to it. But if you give credence to it, you're kind of saying, yeah, back in those days, I was kind of tired on a Sunday. So I had to rest. My bad. Okay, sorry. I was a bit tired back then. Whatever. There weren't that many humans around. I was kind of bored. Now I've got my hands busy because like 7 billion of you. Back then, it's like 5.
You gotta keep track of everything, man. Like many angel records.
So many bloody emails and tweets I've got to look after. Always hashtag Allah. Who's going to look at the hashtags? SubhanAllah.
That's amazing. Allah was mad they didn't stay for the
khutbah.
I don't know. Do they have khutbahs in Judaism? I don't know. Do they?
I don't know about it.
Yeah, it's. I think I'm pretty sure I was confused about this too as a Muslim, but the way I would have seen it as a Muslim was Allah sent different Sharias to different prophets. So this prophet, for example, wasn't allowed. Like the Hadith says, my religion's easier because I accept booty, I accept what else? There's a bunch of things Muhammad said. Oh my God, this one's funny. He said in the other religion, if you got like basically cum on your clothes, you had to cut it out. But in my religion, you just wash it.
Such a privilege. You don't need to wash it, bro. If you just let it air dry, you can just scratch it off. Asking your child wife, it's sunnah, right?
That's some Krispy Kreme on your clothes.
Another
Kreme, freshly glazed.
And the last thing he said I got that no other prophet got was I got victory by terror over distance or something like that.
Like in the hearts of the disbelievers, striking terror.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the next.
So the point I was trying to make, got distracted with the details, but the point I was trying to make was as a Muslim, they would say that different Sharias for different prophets, they had certain things that was haram for them. Now it's not haram for us. But the thing is, you still got to wonder, like, why is it even a Sabbath in the first place if it just doesn't fit, right?
Bro, does this mean that in the Sharia of Adam, incest was halal, but in the Sharia of Muhammad, it's haram now?
Yeah, literally.
And one thing in the Quran, I remember in the story of Yusuf, if you remember, his parents bow down to him and they prostrate to Yusuf and around his throne, and his brothers too. Back then, sajda to other people was also allowed. So Allah wasn't as picky about the ritualistic signs of shirk back then, but then he became really pissed.
Allah has no balls. Wow, that's incredible.
He's genderless, okay? So
he's genderless. Scratch it off.
Scratch it
off. Wow, that's incredible. But I remember Sheikh Shabir, when I met him, he was saying that in Prophet Solomon, they were making statues. So clearly statues. Now statues are haram, but I mean statues and I'm assuming statues of faces or people, that was halal. So that's...
Well, I mean, just to for one small point here.
Isn't it? Sorry? Like any inconsistency you find, oh no, that was a previous Sharia. Because then nothing has to fit anymore.
Nothing has to fit. There's no consistency. Yeah.
And this brings you back to the claim about objective morality sometimes. If you think about it, on the face of it, there's different people coming in different parts of history popping up. And obviously, because they live in different environments and times, their morality differs from each other.
So clearly it's not objective, isn't it?
They're just Yeah, they're just putting it in Allah's mouth. That's all they're doing.
That is such
And
a good point. That
and
is
what's
such a good
interesting
point.
is,
Yes.
even in the Quran, you
Allah.
see this evolving moral relativism where alcohol was first okay, then it was good, it has benefit, then it was banned for salah only, and then it was completely banned, right? So even see that you can see the humanness in the morality evolving too. Now, obviously, Muslims will say, "Yeah, Allah, Allah," but
Yeah. But it's true. It's true. I mean, if you can say Jesus, the Sharia of Jesus, Muhammad, Moses, and prophets like Solomon, they were all different. Well, it's not objective, then, is it? It's temporal,
Mhm.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Well, they'll say, you know what they'll say? They'll say those ones were for those specific times.
Okay, but then it's not objective.
That Sharia is for all time.
But the thing is, it's the same Allah. It's not like a different Allah. So fine, the people were
He
different.
changes his
but they were
name
the same
too,
God.
man. Yahweh and whatever.
Yahweh. Yeah, he got a makeover because Yahweh is so 1,000 years ago.
A man.
Yeah,
A man
I want to go
has
for
no
this sort of
name.
gender, I want to go for this gender neutral Allah kind of thing. You know what? It's the same God.
I mean, Allah did create the rainbow, and then He asked us to reflect upon the signs of Allah. Don't you see?
Allah.
Don't you believe?
There you go. Exactly. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. So,
Yeah,
I
I wouldn't say evolving morality as much within Muhammad's life, Gondal, as I would say that he was adjusting things for his own convenience. Like Fadi
Yeah.
is saying Muhammad bin alcohol unlawful because his uncle said some bad, embarrassing stuff.
But wasn't it a story where Khadija apparently got her dad drunk to say yes to Muhammad?
Yes.
I
Yes.
haven't heard that before. That's
Oh, you've never heard that? It's in all the early Sierra literatures that
Oh, wow.
Muhammad.
According to some Sahih, it was Jack Daniels, but I don't want to get into that. It was
Gabriel brought it to Khadija to make this divine marriage
Exactly.
happen.
Exactly. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, wasn't it? Yeah, that she got him drunk and licked so he could say yes to the nikah. Is that not like false consent? Or like is that not an issue?
I
Like,
mean-
is that nikah even jaiz? If the guy
Well,
consenting, the father consenting was drunk.
Bro, like you have to understand that consent. If Muhammad can marry a 6-year-old, there's no consent.
There's no consent. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. There you go.
To marry. Oh. Okay, this one just bites the cake. How the hell did somebody live to the ripe old age of 950 years and still fail to convert a lot of people? Hey, come on, how inefficient do you have to be?
Oh my God, this is terrible. I'm not sure what's the worst prophet, Jesus for getting literally crucified and then somehow he failed. He's like, I'm gonna bring kingdom of God on.
I
on
die.
He literally got nailed to a cross. This guy had nearly 1,000 years to do da'wah. How bad can you be, right?
He got the whole planet flooded.
Literally, he's like restart. Like, restart, reset the game. Like that's respawn. Exactly. Your prophet was so bad. It was such an embarrassing performance. You killed everyone else.
Can I show another inconsistency here?
Yes.
This is something I found when I was doing early research on this. Oh, oops, wrong window. Hold on. In the Bible, it says Noah lived a total of 950 years. In the Quran, it says he gave Dawah for 950 years. Right? It's just it's again an inconsistency between.
He lived after the flood for 350 years. So wait, the flood happened when he was 600 years old.
He was still a young man back then. He was still a young man. He was still a young man. He's only
so he took 600 years of trying, and he finally, I'm like, God, just kill him, man. Just send the water.
After he killed them, the new ones, they were like, nah, we don't know. It's off.
He's like, God, that's so. I tried.
I'm done. Bring me up now. I'm done. Master.
That
oh my God.
In the Quran, there's only one imported story like this, but in the Bible, there's other ones too, apparently. Methuselah lived 900 years. Yeah, like apparently there's other examples too. This is all new to me, but this is I guess stories. I mean, that's how they are, I guess, right?
Incredible.
Oh man.
Oh,
my favorite. The biggest chapter of the Quran is called Surah Baqarah, and it's named after this.
Is it me or this is the most pointless surah? Like, I don't understand what the point of this is. I really don't. I've never understood this.
286 verses, man.
I mean, the story, like, I've read some tafsirs, and it goes that this guy was living around the time of Moses, and then he got murdered, and then they were like, how are we going to find out who killed him? We need to call, like, the detective squad.
CSI.
And yes, Scotland Yard failed.
Yeah.
So then Allah had to try his tricks. And Allah's genius plan was he asked him to find a cow. So the guys are like, well, which kind of cow? Like, there's so many. Allah said, no, you got to get the yellow cow, the specific yellow cow. So they got the yellow cow, then they sacrifice it. Then Allah's like, so the tafsir say take either the tail, or he took a piece of it, or its tongue, and it struck the body, the dead body with it. Like, slap you with the stake, and the body just gets up and then stands up, names the murderer, but then dies again. Yeah.
You might like keep him alive. I don't know, maybe even for a little bit. Maybe a day or two to see his family. Just you're done. Okay, all we want to know is
how did we know? Again. How did we know if it was the guy's spirit that was in him and not a genie possessing him?
There you go.
Exactly.
What is the point of this? Like, from an Islamic perspective, what is literally the point of this story? I've never understood. Like, what is the message here? Like, what's like? So, okay, fine. Assuming he this guy said, okay, it's him. Okay. Like, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? I don't understand. Can someone? I'm genuinely asking because I want to know. Like, I always find it.
I remember when I was in my last Ramadan in Pakistan. It was like 2013 something, right? And I'm sitting there, and I remember this story comes across in the first 2-3 days of Ramadan in the Tarawih. So they're giving a lecture about it, and they're like, well, one thing Allah shows you is that Allah has immediate power, and He can make you know things that you think you will never be able to know. So you think, guys, no, you can still find out who killed him. And the second lesson was that they talk about the cow's color, and it says, well, you're trying to be nitpicky with Allah, but Allah's going to make it harder for you. Allah's going to make it more technical. He's not going to just ask you for a cow. He's going to ask you for a yellow cow, which is harder to find.
Right.
So it's I don't even know. It's in a twisted way. Allah's teaching them a lesson by involving.
Sure. I think he could have done a better job, if I'm honest with you.
I'm just imagining the scene, though.
Yeah, literally. What the hell, man? It's so crazy. It's so crazy. The only thing that I remember someone explaining this to me was saying how bad the Jews are, because the whole cow thing, that instead of listening to Allah, they tried to be clever and say, oh, well, which kind of cow, but what kind of size, but what kind of this, but what kind of that. And but other than that, there was no moral lesson from this that I can remember.
Allah wanted to show off his crime detective skills.
Crime detective skills.
Sherlock versus Allah wins.
Yeah, exactly. Sherlock has no power over the stake.
So apparently, it says in the Torah, this unusual cow, red rather than yellow in hue, although there's some disagreement in how to translate. Oh, sorry, I'm leaving the wrong thing. Apparently, it says this is mentioned in the Torah as well. It's supposed to be like an unusual cow, red. Yeah, it says red rather than yellow, and it's supposed to be slaughtered and burned in its entirety under strictly defined conditions, and its ashes are mixed in living waters along with other ingredients to be sprinkled as part of the ritual purification for persons who have been rendered impure through contact with the corpse.
What? This is some weird, like, witchcraft.
Yeah, literally.
What the
I still don't understand the moral of the bloody story. What is the takeaway here, guys?
Just don't. If you think you can escape by killing somebody, don't you think that Allah will bring him back?
Don't do it around a cow. Don't do it.
Don't do it on a farm.
Don't do it on a farm. Yeah, exactly.
The cows will bring you back.
Yeah, it's interesting. Interesting the connection though, because like again in the Torah, it apparently this whole thing has to do with ritual purification after touching a dead body. But in the Quran, it's used as a way of getting the dead body to come back to life. Like the story has changed. It's evolving, right? It's fascinating.
It's like Muhammad adding his own masala in there.
Own twist, exactly. His own masala. He slapped up the. He got the masala ready. He's slapping the steak with the masala, get it nice.
Tahini sauce.
Exactly. All the sauces and all that. Garam masala, all that nonsense.
Let's go to the next one and then take it.
Making me hungry.
This is funny. This is the story of Moses, right? So when he went, he saw a fire, and then he like, hey, wait here, but people, my family, I'll go check it out. What's up there? And then he goes to the fire, and then he sees or he hears somebody talk. And then Allah is like, oh, it's me. It's God talking to you. So Moses is at first confused. Well, where's the voice coming from? Is it coming from the fire? Is it coming from around the fire? And what he's told at first, hey, bro, take your shoes off. You're in the Wadi al-Muqaddas Tuva. You're in the sacred valley of Tuva. Like, you got to take your shoes off. Like,
this is the most elaborate high story I've heard in my life. This is what happens when you get so high. You're like, oh shit, this is where God is? The fire is talking to me? Like, I swear to God, man. It's the best cover up. You know how Mary covered up for like the fact that she got like pregnant at the age of whatever 40. He's like, he was smoking so much weed. My man's like, bro, you won't believe this, man. The fire was talking to me. He told me to take my shoes off. Like, okay, I'm sure. Come on.
I mean,
let's get real.
The actual like the tafsirs are even more hilarious. But let's move on. He'll make another appearance. Moses is very recurring.
Moses seems like a lad. Anyway.
Aladdin. There you go. Aladdin's here.
Okay. And to Solomon we subjected the wind, blowing forcefully, proceeding by his command toward the land which we had blessed. And we are ever of all things knowing. Okay. Is this the magic carpet?
Yep, that is the magic carpet.
Oh, hold on. I just saw a comment that I should have highlighted, which I missed. Apologies. Andrew Martin saying 2010 is so stupid. Bring me, I have to fetch a live coal because fire is hard. It's like, I don't know how to make a fire, so I'm going to go for a live coal. What? Isn't that strange?
My God.
Yeah.
It sounds so funny now that he mentioned it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to go look for a fire because I don't know how to make a what?
That's how high he was. That's how high. You understand? When you're that high, it makes sense. It makes sense. Like, no, this coal's dead. Let me bring a live one.
No, the bush is the euphemism for the Habibi, the green, the devil's lettuce burning. Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
mashallah.
the wheat plant burning. And he inhaled the smokes, the fumes. He hotboxed himself.
I don't get the whole thing about take off your shoes. Why take off your shoes?
Shoes are like dirty or impure.
He's outside.
Bro, when you're that high, you start seeing things. It's like he probably saw a house. It's probably a tree, so he saw a house or something. He's like, "Go take my shoes off, bro."
It's just weird, right? Like, take off your shoes in the Holy Land. Now it's like, okay, anyways.
Yeah.
I think we poked the heck out of that one. Okay, so and to Solomon we subjected the wind, so he could control the wind, right? What is that? Airbender?
Avatar. Yeah.
Morning journey was a month, and afternoon journey was a month.
And it
What
was
is that?
really fast. Like it's the speed. So his carpet would fly. Relative speed is this. If you're walking on a camel or horse, right, and if it takes a 1 month journey, would take like a few hours with his airline. Because if you read the tafsir, it's so ridiculous. It says that he had a mat made of wood, which he would place all the equipment of his kingship, horses, camels, tents, and troops. Then he would command the wind to carry it, and he would go underneath it, and it would carry him aloft, shading him and protecting him from the heat until he reached wherever he wanted to go.
It was above him. Was it below?
I don't know what he's saying. Like, Solomon's under his mattress or his mat, and then his armies and horses. And
That's incredible. That's
It's the
incredible.
first airline, man.
The tafsir is next level crazy, man. Like the tafsir, I don't know where they get these details from. They just add so much masala to the story. It's just it's just wow. And I remember even as a Muslim, like going to tafsir classes, it was fun because it was like this is entertainment time. You know, we used to go for tafsir in the evening every Friday, and I remember one of my friends was like, I don't go to that because they're not authentic. Because he was troubled by the tafsir and how bizarre they were, so he stopped listening. He's like, I don't read Ibn Kathir anymore.
I remember the Al-Maghrib, the end of time seminars. They'd be the best one with all the weird, funky hadith.
Was there like an air stewardess on the car?
And the emergency exits are to your. I'm joking.
No, women allowed, brother. This is Islam.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But she'd probably be a holy or something.
Well, Solomon had a lot of wives. You know that, like 700 or something. Iron Man and singing mountains. What? Oh, it's about David. I think David was Solomon's dad. So he would sing, la, 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 and the mountains would start singing, and the bird will start singing, and then he would melt iron with his hands and shape it like iron metal bender or something. So his son is airbender, and father is metal bender.
Wow, that's crazy. Avatar. This is
When you put it like that, the mountains were singing with him, like that. Again, that seems kind of on something, isn't it?
It's like an avalanche. You know when you scream near a snow mountain and it comes from it's the same. Like it's like Allahu Akbar, and then that's probably why they lost the temple. They couldn't find it for ages, thousands of years. He's like, and he just came down to bury the whole village. Anyway.
Oh man. Maybe we need to resurrect like David to sing the song, and the wall of Gog and Magog will fall apart.
Yeah, it's been hidden. Oh my God. Make full codes of mail and calculate precisely the links and work of all of your righteousness.
On my hand.
My God. This is like the thing is I actually can't believe this is going to sound. I can't believe people believe this stuff. I really cannot believe that people believe this kind of nonsense. Especially the more rational-minded Muslims who are like, yeah, Islam and science are the same thing. Rationality. They like to throw objective, empirical, all these fancy ontological and ontological and all these words, right? What's objective, ontological, philosophical? What's this nonsense? What is this? Like, I don't even need to debate you on that level. You haven't earned the right for me to debate you on that level when you believe in this nonsense. The mountains can dance with and sing with you. What was it? A Bollywood song. Like, like, what was this? I don't understand. Oh my God, this is rubbish.
I know.
And I never noticed this part about.
Yeah, I never noticed this nonsense.
Singing. I didn't even notice the mountains were singing. I remember the rest of it, but this part I missed.
Guys,
it's called an echo. They're not singing. It's an echo.
I have another interesting comment here I want to highlight.
Bismillah.
David was armor bearer, not armor maker. It's Muhammad using the wrong words.
Okay.
Did he mess up the story again? Yeah, it doesn't make sense to calculate the chain links precisely. Like he has to have exactly like the right amount of.
Dude, this is heaven certified quality, man. You cannot beat this. We need to get like an artifact. Maybe one of these survived.
Yeah, it's weird. Why is it? Why? How is that a miracle? Making armor.
It protected you from the pelting missiles, bro.
Yeah, pelting missiles. Oh my God, this is great.
It's not a miracle, isn't it? Like, isn't it really useless?
Isn't Solomon? He like died on his chair, and then he was in that same position for like 100 years or like a very long time, and then no one, like no one.
None of the genies didn't even know. These genies.
Don't wake him up! Don't wake him up! Someone's like, no, leave it. Whatever. And then the ant or whatever ate his stick that he was leaning on. So so hang on. His body didn't deteriorate. His body didn't like rot or anything like that.
Because he's a prophet, eh?
He's a prophet. Oh, I see it. Oh, this is just.
Don't die.
Just crazy. What is this? What is this, man? Seriously. I mean, I know it's funny, like, but it's not funny because people believe this nonsense. Like
it's like compounded ignorance upon ignorance.
So he didn't go to the toilet. He didn't eat. He didn't give a walk. He didn't pray.
Yesterday I was I found this new thing out there. Bears, when they hibernate, they have this natural butt plug that develops in them, so they don't defecate for the whole time. So maybe Solomon had that.
But like he has like what, hundreds of wives, and not one of them was like, maybe we should go talk to him. He hasn't like we haven't spoken to, like he's been ignoring me for like 100 years. Like like no one complained. Like no one was like, oh, let's leave him sitting there in the position. This is crazy.
This is a good response. David wasn't a maker.
Oh my god.
That was his miracle, bro. Look, I made it.
Exactly.
I believe I'm a prophet.
Wow.
And I have a beautiful voice. I can sing.
I can sing. I can sing.
When I stand on top of a mountain, my voice echoes. That means mountain.
That's literally a Bollywood movie, isn't it? When you go in the mountains and start singing and dancing. And his wives were there with the dupatta flying in the air. All his wives and his exactly. Yeah.
The red dupatta. Okay.
Oh my god.
Let's go. What's up next?
What's this? Old man tries to kill son, but magic sheep saves. Oh my word. Magic sheep.
Bro, I don't like.
It just stop.
It's so funny that if it wasn't Islam, I wouldn't believe this is actually right. It just didn't make sense.
That's the whole story when he threw his like baby down, and then he saw her dream. So here's the thing, like, he saw a dream or he heard a voice? Okay, he had a vision. All right. And then he thought that, so I just don't get it. This guy is just chilling there. He has these two kids. He's 80 or 90 years old at this time, apparently, when this happens. He's one day wakes up, like, yeah, like I just had a dream, like I was like just slaughtering my son, so I'm gonna go do that. And then he goes there. I mean, the kid, like he's gonna say whatever, dad, do it. And the dad tries to in the story. Knife was dulled out by the angel, and prophets have the power of 40 men, and they couldn't go through. And then suddenly,
this is what happens when prophets become senile, when they have Alzheimer's and all these sort of mental conditions. This is literally what happened. But you know, Ibn Arabi, one of them, I can't remember which one it is. I think it was a Sufi guy. He was saying that Abraham's mistake was not the dream, but he misinterpreted the dream. That he should have gone to someone to interpret the dream for him, or something along that, because obviously he realized this is quite a stupid thing to do. But yeah, this is this is what I don't understand. Right, Muslims and Christians and Jews, they make such a big deal about this. They celebrate this, like this is wow. Look at the character of Abraham. You know, he had a dream saying that he should kill his son, and then he went to kill his son, and he didn't. Sorry, he didn't, not because he stopped, because God actually had to intervene and be like, well, what the hell are you doing, bro? I didn't say that, right?
That glorifying human sacrifice.
What is this? What is this? I don't understand. What's objective about that? What's ontological about that? Nonsense. What is this rubbish?
Well, yeah, the idea is, you know, this was him sacrificing his most beloved, like, belonging. But the thing is, his son is not his ownership,
exactly.
Right? It's not his son.
And it's not for him to sacrifice, you know. I
have a feeling that if this was a true story, the son would probably be running away. On brainwashed too. And Fadi was saying his son would have suffered from PTSD as well.
Exactly. Could you imagine his son going into therapy and say, "So, what brings you here?" Yeah, my dad had a dream that he was going to kill me. Okay, and then he tried to kill me. but then he felt bad about it, so he killed a lamb instead. Oh, by the way, his name's Abraham. All right, nice.
Like that
would make sense.
It's just so bizarre. I mean, where do you even begin with this? Like, it's
so crazy. And based upon that stupid story, we now kill thousands or millions of animals on that one day just to be like, yeah, well done, Abraham.
Mm-hmm.
Abraham stopped taking his meds. That's what he did.
All right, let's go on. Let's see what's
right, before we go on, just going to remind everyone to please subscribe to a new channel. I think it's vital for all of us who are doing this sort of content to have a backup plan in case things go wrong. You know, as you guys all know, this is what happened to me. I got my channel hit with a glorifying violence strike, And of course, I didn't do that, but it was a sort of glitch where I was uploading a video and, YouTube interpreted it the wrong way. I deleted it, and now there's no way to undo that strike. So I have a strike for 90 days. I created the new channel. So this is a new channel now. Please do subscribe. The old channel will be used too, but if you're new here, do subscribe. And as well, do check out the link below if you want to support the Two Abdullahs show. And yeah, let's get back to it. All right.
Okay, what do we have next? Oh, Ibrahim doesn't stop. I will let Vidu Woods read this one.
Okay. It is reported that Abu Huraira. Sorry.
Hang on. Let's have some respect. Zakir Naik is trying to recite a hadith here, and you have this guy laughing in the background. Okay.
On the subject of circumcision, it is clearly mentioned in Al-Adab Al-Mufrad, Book of Circumcision, 53.
Circumcision.
Circumcision. So there's too many S sounds in that word, circumcision. I'm going to circumcise my tongue if I can't say it properly. Okay. Abu Huraira reported that the Messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, granted him peace. Okay. Ibrahim, may Allah bless him. How many blessings do you want in one sentence? Okay. Ibrahim, may Allah bless him, was circumcised when he was 80 years old. 80 years old. A man, he was circumcised with an axe. Can you believe that? I'm a medical doctor. I'm circumcised with, the small knife. And he has an axe. How big was his penis? How big does a man have to have a penis? You have to circumcise an axe. Was he an elephant? Or was he a human being? I want to see his axe. How large is the foreskin?
He was the size of Adam, 70 cubic.
You can wear the foreskin on your head. It's how big it is. MashaAllah. This proves that the human beings before, they were 80 feet tall. If you have to have an axe to circumcise your penis, how big are you? MashaAllah. MashaAllah, Ibrahim, he's a very, very big man. Very big man.
I'm sorry, I'm actually crying from tears. That was
How
too
big
funny.
do you have to be?
Oh my god, I can't breathe.
Circumcised with an axe. I mean, this is just pure egoism, isn't it? It's like, bro, you were circumcised what, with a scalpel? Or you were circumcised? Oh, that's cute. That's cute, right? I had an axe. That's cute, bro.
Oh my, this is gonna make an amazing YouTube clip. The Book of Circumcision explained by Dr. Zakir Naik.
Next thing you know, like if there was electric, oh, bro, I was circumcised with a chainsaw. Like, oh,
Lumberjack.
come on, bro. What is going on here? Circumcised with an axe. Can you imagine putting his penis on a slab or on the tree?
Board.
Literally, he must have been just like here. So yeah. And then some guy comes in, don't miss it. Bro, what is going? He must have put his cock on a slab of like a rock. Just come down. Damn. Bloody hell, what is going on here, guys? Come on, with an axe.
Oh my god. Oh, I need a moment. Let's take a call, man.
Yeah. Was it even sanitized? That's what I want to know. Was it a dirty blade? Sounds like a name of a pub. The Dirty Blade.
Use a lawnmower. I guess. According to Islam, you have to shave down there. So yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my god.
For that.
My
All
word.
right. So, talking newborn babies. So this is about Jesus. So Mary comes with a child, and they're like, oh, "Where'd you get this?" And he's like, "Talk to the child." Like, the baby starts speaking in Arabic. I'm the slave of Allah. He has given me the scripture and made me a prophet. Where's the book? Did you come with it right now? Where is it? And so Allah. So this baby's talking, and it's one other thing is that there's a secondary baby too that talks in the story of Joseph. So if you remember that when Joseph he's being attacked, or let's say sexually assaulted by his slave owner, she grabbed him from the back, and it's the baby that talks that verifies the innocence of Joseph. So, and I mean, there's not more just one talking baby. It's a
That's interesting. See, that's quite interesting because isn't okay. This is a slight deviation, but you know when Muslims said that Jesus was literally physically raised to heaven, but isn't the same word what Fatna who used for Ilyas or a different prophet as well?
Mhm.
But that never gets highlighted. But the one about Jesus does, and you're saying same here that Joseph was also talking baby, not a big deal. But he must be pissed. He's like, I was talking as a baby as well. Why is no one talking about me? Why is all the attention going to Jesus?
It's like Allah has the preset miracle pool, and he just like makes a draw. I'm like, oh shit, it's a talking baby again.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Who makes these bloody cards? The angels like bloody hell.
Brothers, we can see Gondal's tears. This indicates the strength of his iman.
Yes. The true believer cries when he hears the words of Allah. And he is crying. So he is a true believer. He's a mu'min.
It says that if the tear falls on the cheek, then all
Allah.
your sins are forgiven.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Look at this beauty. The beauty. Subhanallah.
So, we're at 90 minutes, and I just want to remind everyone why we're doing this because
yeah, why are we doing this?
We got 2 calls last time. I don't know, 3 calls that all said the same thing, and which is, well, this is all like miracles, and this is all, if you believe in God, and obviously we can believe that God does all these things. So what's the point of mentioning all these things? And again, the point is to show you collectively when you put all of the absurdity together collectively and show it all at once, it's to just show you like how ridiculous the whole thing is. And we're including a lot of examples of things that are actually like for example, fortune tellers and stuff like that still applies to this day, right? And the whole explanation of how they get the miracle, the knowledge, and it's how ridiculous it is. We just want people to open their eyes and see that this is not from God, and you're wasting your time, you're wasting your life assuming it is. So be better, be free, and live your life without going into this stuff.
Sorry, man. I'm just still so impressed with the axe story. That is just that is literally amazing. The precision of the guy who had to circumcise him. If he got it off, that would have been the end of the Abrahamic line. Think about it. That would have been. It would have been. That's it. It could have been profit.
I'm pretty sure he had people helping.
Yeah. Oh my God. Literally. That
like, hold it there, hold it there.
Yeah, hold it, stretching it out. You must have drawn a line, cut here. Oh my God.
It's also interesting how just like the story of the animal being sacrificed, we have now millions of babies being cut because of this.
Yes, think about that.
Ridiculous.
Kids though heard a voice and 1,000 years ago or so decided to kill his baby and chop his dick.
Yeah, literally. Like, that sounds like someone got too drunk and like, when this is gonna sound like those white Americans like, hey bro, I dare you to do this, bro. Like someone got drunk, like, hey, I dare you to cut your dick off for the next. It's like, okay, fine, cool, bang. Like that sounds like that, but it's crazy. It's crazy. He was a real daredevil, wasn't he, Abraham? Jesus Christ.
This is an interesting comment. So Muhammad basically jealous of Jesus being son of God and degrade Jesus being a servant. It's interesting that like in Islam, there's all of these prophets. Gondal, so I don't know why it's covering your face. It's kind of layout is a little bit bad. Okay, hold on. What I'll do is I'll just do this. So it's interesting that even in Islam, you have all these prophets with these special titles. Ibrahim is Khalil Allah. All of the prophets have miracles, but Muhammad still ends up being the best because Muhammad's also Khalilullah. He's also the friend of Allah, and he somehow upped everybody, which is interesting. I wonder what's the reason for him becoming this sort of like, is it a narcissistic trait? Is it a self-inflated ego?
I think it's like a grandiose delusion of self-importance, which, like we've talked about before, ties in with a lot of other things in his behaviors. But a lot of them start to actually think that, oh no, we're actually from God, we're the chosen ones, the Messiah complex. It's a very well-known thing in psychology too. In fact, the whole series Messiah made on Netflix was centered around this kind of guy who has this psychological disorder. He thinks he's actually talking to God and whatnot, but it but yeah, no, like if you notice, like Muhammad has literally God in heaven singing praises for him with the angels. You know, in Surah Ahzab,
Oh
Sallu
wow.
alayhi wa sallimu taslima. Every time it's like, if you love Allah, you have to obey Muhammad. You know, the Muhammad is right up there with Allah. Like, you have to say Muhammad's name in the Shahada, but not any other prophets. Your prayer is not accepted if you don't recite the Durood on Muhammad. So it's kind of everywhere, you know, like.
Oh yeah.
If you obey, then Muhammad, you can't lower or raise your voice over him. If you do, you can't hang around his house. You can clearly see it's like a very grandiose attitude. He's the chosen one.
So that's a great example. So it's sunnah to circumcise via axe.
Wow. Wow.
Well, what kind of axe is it supposed to be? Because, you know, they use the miswak, the specific type of stick.
Oh god! Oh god!
And you use like
god!
This is a good time to kind of mention that this is why we're doing this, because as you can see, a lot of bad, like a lot of useless things that people are doing are coming from religion. So it's worth talking about these things. It's not just making fun for the sake of making fun. We're actually trying to make a good point, like make a point here, right?
Yeah.
We're having a lot of fun along the way.
So,
Just
I don't want to keep going about circumcision, but there isn't the main reason why they got circumcised was because to suppress sexual pleasure from masturbating, because this with people with foreskin. It's true, people with foreskin have more pleasure when having sex because there's more sensation.
From what I've read, it's a minor difference, right?
I don't know.
I haven't had it before and after, so I've just had it. You know.
All I remember is when the doctor, when I was a baby, he tried to chop mine off. I peed on. That's what my mom.
Yeah.
For sure with women, that's the reason.
Yeah, but it's the same thing. The foreskin is the most sensitive part. It has the most nerve endings, whatever it is. And I think because they obviously these Abrahamic religions have a very negative attitude towards sex and sexual pleasure. So if a guy can pleasure himself sexually by himself with foreskin, it's like that's what I was thinking. Someone was saying.
So I don't know.
Sorry.
That hasn't stopped me.
No. Listen, I'm not going to knock you for trying, but I'm glad you put in the effort. But with foreskin, apparently, it's like even more pleasurable, whatever it is.
Well, it's interesting because when it comes to orgasms with men already have a problem of in general of too quickly, which is. If you think about it, it's probably evolutionary because you want to get your seeds in there as quick as possible before some other potential mate would go in. So it makes sense that it's quick, right? So I don't know if
women stop complaining, right? We're just efficient.
Okay.
It's just not.
Sorry, the word says you're the farm that killed for the Muslim man.
Yes.
Yeah, I somehow doubt that's the reason. You know, the way I see it, I mean, if you go back to the whole like Jordan Peterson or Karen Armstrong kind of approach, it's a sacrifice sort of. You can't kill your son for your God, but you can cut off his thing. I don't know. Maybe from that perspective.
Why would you want to sacrifice the foreskin? Because it's the most pleasurable part of you get the most pleasure from that. That's why they do that. And even I think I was watching this documentary about these gangs in South Africa or whatever, these women's. They were like feminist freedom fighters, but they were like a bit militant. The first thing that they would do was cut off the clitoris because they're like, we don't want the pleasure or whatever it is or something like that. So there is this thing about sexual pleasure and cutting off the penis or cutting off the foreskin or the clitoris.
The foreskin and the clit are totally different though.
Yeah. And there's also the
pleasure in terms of pleasure, sexual pleasure.
I somehow doubt that because I mean, we're telling this to a sex ed class now.
Okay, let's go to the slide.
All right, guys, let's whip it out. Let's see what we got. Okay. Let's see. We got to have a live demonstration here. Come on. Where's my axe?
Let's go to the one now.
Oh, next one? Yeah.
We did this one, yeah. All right. Clay birds come to life. Eye doctor and resurrecting the dead. I mean, where are these genius people when we need them? Like, why doesn't Allah send this miracle man right now and, kill the coronavirus, save so many people? He's like, he knows he can do it. He'll send the person, but he won't fix all of them. He's not that loving.
I actually want to read this. Is there in this? This is a slideshow, isn't it? I would love to know what. Because Muhammad Asad, he gives a more metaphorical I would love to know what his take on a clay bird coming to life is, because like this is what. Because the thing is, I used to have more sympathy with what do you want to call it, like Quranists or people that Muslims that are like science, all that kind of stuff, and they would go for the more metaphorical stuff. Like, how on earth are you going to metaphorically translate this or understand this? Like, I would love to see you attempt like a clay bird coming to life. Like, what is that supposed to mean? Like, I don't understand.
Ahmadis and Ismailis also they don't take these as miracles. They say everything is naturalistic and in the world there's no such thing as miracles.
So
and
what's this?
Well, the funny thing is, I mean, Reason on Faith, Sohail Ahmed, made an article about, he calls it ant men in the Quran, and he talks about this whole, the story where the ants are talking, and he just completely rips apart this idea that this is not talking about a miracle, like, because the amount of stretching and twisting you have to do to make this like a naturalistic explanation without any divine intervention, it just makes the story completely like a complete joke, right? And maybe this is another example. I don't know if this is another example of that. I mean, people are pretty creative, so it'd be interesting to see how they take it. But yeah, I think you're right. That's a very good point. That there's going to be examples where
I don't know where you're going to go with this interpretation. Like, how on earth?
Puppet birds, animatronics in the
animatronics. Unbelievable. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
And I mean, he was doing eye surgeries and like raising the dead. Like, it's like this guy just standing there and like, "Come here, people, you blind man." Be fixed.
Exactly.
It's interesting that also, if you look at it from a theological perspective, God is willing to send someone to cure people's blindness, which he gave them in the first place, but he's not, and just to prove that he's actually talking to those people who he wants us to worship. It just seems like such a convoluted way of getting someone to do something that he could just easily get them to do without doing all of this nonsense in the first place. I'm going to make you blind, and then I'm going to send some guy, and I'm going to tell him something, and you have to listen to him, and if you don't believe him, well, he's going to give you the thing that I took away from you. He's going to give it back to you. And now you believe him, and he actually talked. Like, does it make any sense? Like, this is such a ridiculous, like, dancing, like, it's just monkeys dancing at this point,
All right, let's go to the next one. Oh, this one's funny. So we all know the story where Abraham was in the valley of Mecca with his newborn baby and his wife, and then Allah said, go look for water, worship, whatever. And he left his family alone, and they had very limited water. So Allah let them starve to the point the baby was crying from thirst. And the mom was running between two mountains, just freaking out, looking for something she can feed the baby. And Allah literally tortured her until she broke down and the baby was almost dying. This angel comes, and then guess what he does? So I'll read it. Again, she said to her, I better go see the state of the child. But suddenly she heard a voice, and she said to that strange voice, help us if you can offer any help. Lo, it was Gabriel. Gabriel hit the earth with his heel, and then Ibn Abbas demonstrates like this. And so the water gushed out, and Ishmael's mother was astonished and started digging. This is the story of the Zam Zam well. It was made because the angel Gabriel hit his heel on the. It's a morbid, and it's a morbid story where, I mean, also, like, this lady is dying of dehydration and thirst and starvation. So your brain will make you start hearing things. This is very common when people are dying in the desert. They start seeing hallucinations and whatnot. So only then she hears a voice, and then the angel comes. Like, it's either God playing a very psychotic trick. Like, what the hell is this?
What a strange way to get your message across, isn't it? It seems like like there's an obvious way to do it, and then he chooses the most like you said, Abdullah, the most convoluted way to get your message across. It's just, what is going on, man? Seriously,
God works in mysterious ways.
Literally mysterious ways. Yeah, I don't understand.
I don't think we even need to go to the whole hallucination thing, because in this case, we know it's a clearly made up story. Like, it's a fable. Abraham probably never existed. So unlike when we're talking about Muhammad, who actually was an actual leader and, was doing all these things, and, we have like sayings of his and whatever, I don't think in this case, it's like we don't even need to go there, because it's just a made up story, right? Because
So
Australia,
absurd.
the birds came and then people saw them and then they established a city, and it's just obviously the whole thing is just a made up story. I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, there's this other story about these two people fornicating in the Kaaba, Isaf and Naila, and then them being turned into stones before Islam. So it's all sort of nonsense that happened in Mecca before. It was like a magic show.
Yeah.
And we're gonna start finishing up because we're almost out of time. We'll do a couple more slides and end.
Yeah. And oh, this one's funny. Angel blows through shirt equals pregnant. So
What
this is
the
how this is how Mary got pregnant with Jesus. So it says in the verse itself, we're talking about Mary, the daughter of Imran, who guarded her chastity. So we blew into her through our angel, right? And then the tafsir explains that so we breathe into it of our spirit, namely Gabriel, when he breathed into the opening of her shirt by God's creation of this. So he goes like, and that
Wow.
blows the spirit of Jesus into the stomach of Mary.
Is that a blowjob? That is stuck for life. Should have said that. Stuck for life. Stuck for life. Censor that. Can someone censor that?
Is that what you said?
Is that a blowjob? That's quite a divine blowjob, I must say. Man.
I mean, he's blowing on
Literally,
Stuck
Yeah.
for life. Azim. Stuck for life.
unintended.
Who comes up with this rubbish? Anyway, stuff for life.
Maybe that's where the word comes from.
Maybe, yeah, exactly. A blowjob.
Angel Gabriel.
blowing all the time. Oh man.
This is the example where we had a caller that was explaining about what the actual, like it says blow into her vagina, and that part is not translated, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that. And there's
Remember?
another part where in Surah 18 verse 9 where there is a deviation from the actual manuscript where they changed the word ahaba liyahaba just to make it seem like he wasn't literally blowing it in there.
Wow.
There's a special ahruf problem too. And this was actually not, I didn't point this out. It was Dr. Putin who pointed that out. And that's one of his examples to show that they changed and deviated from the Osmanic Rasam at times.
What's the thing behind that? What did they change in this story?
So there's a verse 18 in Surah 18 about the same thing, the blowing of the spirit into Mary by the angel. So they change a word from it's like the ahaba, the yahaba. It's a very slight deviation, but it quickly changes the meaning from, like literal blowing in there to, oh, I was just like a far away and like we said it to her or something like that.
Wow.
But, yeah. He said that it's an example of them trying to like maybe.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. Jeez.
I don't understand why it's necessary to blow in her vagina. Doesn't Allah just say be?
Yeah, I know.
Is this maybe like another like something that's left over from maybe the Bible? I don't know. Is this maybe the stories in the Bible like that?
This is not in the Bible. I don't think so. I have not heard Christians. I mean, it might, but I have not heard Christians say anything about blowing into this kind of thing. This is purely Islamic. Do you think this is one of those post rationalizations or post explanations where you're like, you have to believe this thing? Oh shit! And then someone asks, okay, but how do you do that? And then they've got to come up with an explanation, like, oh, actually, there was an angel and he came and he, whatever. And
is that a euphemism for her having sex with the angel either?
Gabriel is the real father. Gabriel, as far as I'm concerned, is the real father. Allah had nothing to do with this.
In Christianity, God is a father, and there's examples. But Ehrman talks about this as well, guys. But Ehrman's amazing. He talks about how gods used to come down and like have sex with humans, and then they would have like babies that were like demigods or whatever, right? So there's that analogy there. I don't know if this is I don't know why it's like this in the Quran, but I think we'll just end on this one. I just want to take a few comments. Is that okay with you guys? Because
we can take one more slide and at 50 slides, and that next one's funny. And then
I do want to take one of the comments. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
What the hell? I heard of her saying that there is none born among the offspring of Adam, but Satan touches it. A child therefore cries loudly at the time of birth because of the touch of Satan, except Mary and her child. Then Abu Hurairah recited, then I seek refuge with you forever. What is this nonsense? Are there any like Muslim doctors out there, like Muslim, what's it called? Who do babies?
Gynecologists,
Gynecology, or whatever it is. Like, seriously, when you read this kind of stuff, what are you thinking? Because actually, I think my sister, when she was born, she didn't cry, and there's something wrong with her. It wasn't a positive thing that she didn't cry. Like, oh, she was like pure because of Satan. It was a bad thing that she didn't cry.
Yeah, I got scared. One of my sons, he didn't cry either for like a minute. And I was like, oh my god, this is
exactly
not right? But he did cry, so he was fine. I was like, oh,
this is what I'm trying to say. Like, Muslim doctors out there, like, surely you can see this is like nonsense, because if a baby cries, it's usually something that's healthy and da 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 da. If it doesn't cry, then you should be worried. This is just pure nonsense.
So there's like Satan in every like maternity ward in every hospital tickling the babies.
Like, Satan could do so much with a newborn baby. I could kill it. I'm gonna tickle it. I'm gonna tickle it. Like, out of all the things Satan could do, Satan, you gotta up your game. This is rubbish. Like, you had a pretty, like, in the beginning, you tempted Adam to eat the apple. Now you're tickling babies. Like, come on.
You gotta lower your standards. I don't get it. There's these genies and these Satans with these superpowers, teleporting, shape-shifting, traveling like faster than light, hearing angels and snatching information. All they choose to do with all their power, just play tricks on humans. That's all they do. Hey, come on.
Tickle babies and fart in space. Like, that's your. I'm meant to be scared of you because you tickle babies and fart in space. Wow, so impressive.
I think there's an app. This is an apt place to end. So on slide 50, as you said, and I want to share something. Which someone mentioned in the comments that this is in the Bible too. Okay, so well, I don't know if it's not exactly the same thing, but these are basically some sort of like, I don't know, giants or something that when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men. So these were like fallen angels that had sex with humans or something, and they became like these monsters or something, right? Now, I just want to, like, there's a reason why I'm bringing this up. Read this comment. Do Muslims actually believe in this nonsense, brainless, empty brains? This is from a Christian. Okay.
And a Christian has the same thing in their book.
Allahu Akbar. Checkmate.
See, checkmate. We did Islamic Dawah now. We did a trump card.
Yeah.
It's like, I wasn't sure where this was coming from, but of course it had to be someone that also believes in similar ridiculousness, which is Troy English. I think it's unfortunate that if you weren't Christian, you were atheist, I would have had a nice little lecture for you about how, there's cognitive dissonance and people choose to believe in the things, but you are a walking example of that. Where, like, the Bible, I mean, I don't know how you can say your religion's any better in terms of, like, its ridiculousness. It's the same, it's just as ridiculous.
The same stories, if you were to make like a reenactment of a biblical story and just change the nouns and say it's actually in the Quran, they will laugh with you. But then you say, oh, it's in the Bible. I'm like, oh, so it happens so many times.
I don't know if Christians or Jews they probably won't like this, but if you don't like Islam and you're a Christian or Jew, then look to your own books, because Islam is a combination of the two, right? And yes, the reason why Islam is so much worse right now, because it's not secularized the same way as Christianity and Judaism is. But if you're actually looking at it from the point of the story and you don't like it, it's nonsense, it doesn't make sense, then Islam is a combination of Judaism and Christianity. So you need to look to your own books and criticize them with the same intensity as you would criticize Islam. Then you're consistent. Otherwise, you're just playing this tribal game, which is, Star Trek is better than Star Wars. Oh, Star Trek is real, but Star Wars is rubbish. No, they're both correct. They're both made up, right? They're both made up. Don't try and say one is real and one is fake. They're both made up nonsense, right?
They have their own sets of issues, and we all agree, but none of us disagree. None of us is saying Christianity today is as bad as Islam.
Yeah, I'm not saying that.
It's totally different. But in terms of what we're talking about here, it's probably equal in terms of ridiculous stories, right? I mean, half of these stories are biblical stories, like you were saying.
I have a special one for We Do Wids and the fans today to show them how bad it can get in the Bible. So there's a story in the Bible in 1 Samuel 18:27 where the whole story is David took his men with him and went out and killed 200 Philistines and brought back their foreskins. They counted out the full number to the king so that David might become the king's son-in-law. Then Saul gave him his daughter Michal in marriage.
What the absolute? This is why they were walking around with an axe. If you're gonna cut 200 foreskins, you're gonna need an axe, not some scissors. This is crazy, bruv. What is this weird? Like, think about this. This is God's representative on earth demanding 200 foreskins.
Yep.
This is nuts. If you're a Christian, please justify this, or Jew, or what? Like, please. If this was in the Quran, you would say Muhammad, he's a weird sexual pervert. Why is he wanting someone's foreskins? But this is in the Bible, or like, this is crazy. This is crazy. What's this?
The cartoon of how it went down.
Oh, did they show the foreskins?
So he's giving the mahar. The mahar was the foreskin, you know?
No.
Yeah. He wanted to marry the king's daughter. The king's like, I want 100 foreskins. The guy went out of his way and he got 200 foreskins. And the king was so impressed, he married his daughter to him.
Oh, well, did he make foreskins biryani or something?
Foreskin. Oh my.
Well, like, you know how people have like these people in China or like the Far East that believe like if you eat like a tiger thing, it'll give you like extra virility or whatever it is. Like, was it like if I eat these foreskins, I'm gonna become like a bigger man or like more? What the hell is wrong with people, man? Jesus.
Okay. So that's the end of it. And thank you guys for joining us. Waleed, thank you so much for coming on, and it was a pleasure. You added a lot of you added a lot of value to the conversation today. It was amazing.
I'm not sure I added much intellectual value to the conversation, to be honest with you. But to you guys, there's not much to add when you're reading these kind of stories, and that is the whole point. But thank you guys for having me on. I really, really enjoyed it. It's been an absolute blast.
Gondal, last word goes to you. Oh, sorry.
From my side,
I don't know.
From my side, I mean, like I said, this is just halfway through the 100 slides. So just imagine what awaits after. But to give you an idea, like it's just compounded ignorance and compounded ignorance. Like there's one supernatural thing, you ask them what the explanation is. The explanation is another magical thing, and you ask them what that is, and it's magic, mythical. So hopefully people think about what they believe in and try to like watch this and take away from this is like my beliefs, my book isn't the most logical religion. It has a lot of the same traits from other religions and whatnot. It's copied over stories, and in its absurdity, it actually outscores a lot of things you might, and there's so much in the religion that you don't even know. But from my side, that is all. And until next time, we'll have part 3, maybe part 4, maybe part 5. Maybe we'll have Vidu again with us the next part, because it's just so much fun to have him here. But from my side, until then, sign off.
Okay, bye everyone.
Bye.